Okay, good. Yeah, it's recording. There you
Awesome. Okay, we're finally here. Thanks everybody for listening. Welcome to another, let's call it an episode of Tuesday Evening Discussion. Tonight, we're excited to have Nakeisha Geddes here as our guest. She is a phenomenal speaker, awesome person, full of energy and smiles. She'll tell you a bit more about what she's done, but as you've heard from many of my other Tuesday evening discussions, I also met Nakeisha in a conference in South Carolina. So you can see that when you follow, let's call it a prompting, that you know something is good, good things really do come out of it. I've met some awesome people, Nakeisha being one of them, and I'm excited to hear from her today.
Yes.
So Nakeisha, tell us a bit more about you and what you do.
Hello, everyone. As Ben said, my name is Nakeisha Geddes. I am in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. And yes, as Ben said, I met him in South Carolina at the conference, the leadership conference in March. And that was an amazing experience. And as Ben says, I think all of us that attend that conference are elevating in areas of our life that we can't even imagine, just because we decided to follow our destiny. We decided to listen to our calling, and we just, we did what we were meant to do, and we're rewarded by this way. A little bit about me. I do have an organization called Geddes Beyond Services Choice Matters Inc., where we support families with disability children. I specialize in complex needs and behavior. And I also have another company called Geddes Concept, where I help women or professional women like myself to with their actions and help them to follow their dreams. Because a lot of time, one of the things that we have visions, we have all these big goals, but it's hard for us to hold ourselves accountable, and it's hard for us to to recognize the steps that we need to take to get to where we need to go. And that's where I come in. I am there to help you through those steps. I'm here to guide you, and I'm here to hold you accountable and celebrate with you as you go on this journey to your new dreams or your outcome life, right? So that's it.
I love that. And so today our topic is Unleash the Power Within, a topic that you spoke about in South Carolina. And I think what you just said is a great segue into that. So we'll hear a little tidbits from you, but also I've been working with a number of people through coaching that, everybody's looking for their potential or a direction, or what is my power and how do I achieve it? So what good advice can you tell us?
Honestly, you know what? Our powers are within us. One of the things that, for me, my journey started when I went through depression. I was going through a severe case of depression, and I couldn't understand why. I had a good career. I had a good family. I had what they would call the picket fence and the dog kind of lifestyle, and I had to be asking myself, why are you going through what you were going through? And, to the point where I had to seek professional help. And one of the things that I recognize, right, is that we all have demons. We all have a darker side to us. And in order for us to really, really find our true purpose, we need to dig deep. We need to be in silence. We need to be in stillness and try to figure out what is it that is holding us back. Because usually when we're not moving forward, there's something deeper than what the eyes could see that is holding us back. And it's good for us to dissect that. What does that look like for you? What is it that is like, what is your dark side? We all have it. And I think when we're able to recognize the thing that is holding us back, and we're able to embrace it and go head on and deal with those issues that lies within, we're able to break free. Because for me, one of my issues was abandonment. I was going through severe abandonment issue as a child, not having my mom, not having my dad, being on my own at the age of 16 in a big city like Toronto, right? Toronto is almost like the next New York, right? So I was going through that. And even in my adult stage, I was still dealing with those baggage. And that's what was holding me back. So the minute I was able to dissect and deal with those issues and forgive and move forward, I was able to find my purpose. So I think we need to dig deep. very deep, and work on self first before we try to work on others, before we try to live our purpose, because our purpose is buried with all these darkness that is hidden, all these dark emotions that we need to deal with.
Awesome. I like what you said about, a still moment, taking
Hmm.
that taking that time to be still and discover those things. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Maybe your experience?
Okay. So for me, to be honest, whenever I find myself in where I'll say my back against the wall, one of the things that I practice is stillness. I'll give you an example. Like, I remember before I become an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur is not something that I've ever thought of, wish for. That name, that word was never part of my vocabulary. I don't know anybody who's an entrepreneur or anything like that. And while I was going through my journey with depression and I was going through my counseling, one of the things that I recognized was that I did not like my working environment. I despised it. And that was one of the reason why I was going through what I was going through. And I remember it was November 2017, I went to the doctor and I got a sick note, and I was home on sick leave, mental sick leave, because I just needed a mental break from that place. And I took unpaid sick leave. I was home for a good month and a half. And I remember one day dropping my kids at home, and I came dropping my kids at school, and I came home and I sat at my kitchen table and I said to myself, and I said, God, I'm going to sit here because I cannot go back to that place. And I'm going to sit here until you tell me exactly what it is you want me to do. And I sat there just to, welcome that voice from within. And the voice came in and it said to me, you need to start your own business. And right away I saw the image, I saw everything about my business. Remember, I've never thought of such a thing ever. And I sat back, I'm like, okay, because I'm very obedient to my spirit too. So you have to have that relationship and learn how to build that relationship so you could trust your spirit. And I said I remember saying to God, and said, God, I understand that you want me to do this business, but this business is greater than I. And one of the things that I desire is freedom. I want freedom to be with my children. I want freedom. I don't want to be in bondage anymore. I was tired of being away from home. And the Spirit said to me, you need a partner. And right away, it showed me who my business partner was going to be. And I remember getting up and I called her and I said, hey, we're going in business together. And I told her exactly what we're going to do. And she said, oh, I got to pray about it. And I remember saying to her, you pray and I'm going to start planning. And 99% of the business I planned, she just financed it 50%. And honestly, just by being obedient to my spirit and being in that stillness, I'm in a place where, like in the third year of my business, I tripled my income. I was able to make the money that I invested in the business within the first 2-3 months. Right.
Wow.
And my first client actually came from the job that I quit to start the business. So it shows when you are obedient, when you learn how to still, but I think first we got to deal with what's going on within us, those baggage, declutter, right? So we could really, really hear what the Lord, what our spirit is telling us, and practice being in those stillness and be obedient. Don't ask questions, just be obedient.
Oh man, there's a lot of good stuff right there. My goodness. Yeah, I love being still and actually making room to listen, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
think what you're saying with God and the Spirit, um, they want to tell you good things. They know what
Hmm.
you can do and they know what you should do. And too often we're just too busy running. We don't hear
Yes,
it.
yes, yes, yes. And I think that's the perfect thing that's going on with COVID. We're too busy. So right now we're in a season where we have no choice but to be still. So now is the perfect time for us to, practice those stillness, develop a new routine, right? And quiet. Be in a place of quietness. What is it that we're really, really supposed to do? And I think when you're able to do that, you're able to attract people like Ben and I, attract the right people to help you to build your business. Because yes, we might not have all the answer, but once you start those steps, God, the universe will automatically give you everything that you need, because we will attract those things. Right now, Ben and I, we just attract a new community, a new system, a new everything. There's nothing that we want right now that there's not somebody within our new circle that the Lord allowed us to attract that could help us to go to the next level. But we have to be open to it, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, I love how in your story, how when you were still and gave time to hear that, you heard it. And then very, very soon after, you were given inspiration on what to do and who could help you. I think those are awesome.
Yes.
I
You got
think
to ask
those,
the right questions too, right? And
oh
I
yeah,
think one other thing too, you got to really, 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 really know what is it that you want, because we could ask for the wrong things and you will attract the wrong things. And then you're going to ask, how did I attract such a thing? But because you didn't know what it is that you really want. You think you wanted it, but it wasn't really what you wanted. So you have to really, as I say, work on self first. It's so important, and know exactly what is it that you desire out of life, right? So you could attract exactly what it is that you need.
yeah. Did you, in these moments, did you write a journal or take notes at all when you heard these voices and took these steps?
Well, prior to starting the business, my journey started in 2017 when I was going through depression, and it's so odd. Where when I was going through what I was going through, one of the things that I said to myself that I needed change, but I didn't know what change looked like. Right. So one of the things that I started to do, I started to go on, I don't even know where I got this idea, but the idea just came to start going on Eventbrite. And I start going on Eventbrite and I start going to, I didn't even know Eventbrite exists. This is not something that I've ever done. I was just inspired to do that. And I start going to event within my community. And from doing that, I start meeting people. And I found myself meeting a lot of authors. And I remember one day I went to a book launch and there was somebody that had a book that I was attracted to. And I went up to her and I said, "Can I see that book?" And I looked at the book. And she said to me, "Oh," and I said, "Can I have it? Can I buy it?" They said, "No, it's not my book. I brought the book for somebody else. The author gave it to me to give to somebody else." And I said, "Okay." And then right away, like about 30 minutes later, she came back to me and said, "Well, the person who's supposed to get the book, she did not, she's not here. So the author said I could sell it to you." So she connected me through WhatsApp to pay. And from there, I connected with the author. And the author was, she was a coach, a life coach, right? And it
Hmm.
just showed because I was open for change. And so I started coaching with her. I didn't even know anything about coaching. I mean, all this is brand new to me. And I started to coach with her. And one of the things that she had me do was to start a blog. So I think I started the blog Mother's Day. I launched the blog 2017. And during that, I was still going through therapy and I was still working on self, and I was doing a lot of journaling around that time. And I remember a voice said to me, "This is no longer your story. This story is for the world." And within 30 days, I wrote a book, and I launched that book November 2017. So my journey started from that one book to the coach to starting the blog. And from that blog, I wrote my book within that year, everything within from January to November. And then in November, I was inspired by being still again to launch my business. So by December 2018, my business was launched. So that's what the journey looked like for me. And this is what brought me to where I am, where I'm able to meet people like you, right?
Hmm.
And I'm on a complete different path. Nobody in my life or circle or family is on a path like mine. I've never met anybody that does what we're doing.
Right. Oh, wow. There's so much good stuff there. Because I'm a guy who likes to pull out principles, right? But you've done
Mhm.
such a good job. It's like, oh my goodness, there's so many. um, okay. Well, I like what you said. There was a lot of writing involved. I think it's neat, kind of like we already said, is when you take time to be still, you get an idea. If you follow that idea, then doors open and awesome things happen. And I think
Mhm.
it's neat, especially because you know that that thought came from God, and now you
Yes.
know he's your partner, right?
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure. And when you know this, one of the things that actually today I was listening to one of my audiobook, and one of the things that it said to us that it was talking about is whatever your current situation is right now, it's just an event. It too shall pass, and we need to look back on all the things that we overcome and look at the areas of our life that still need work at and realize that we have the tool within us to get to the level that we need to get to because we already did it in some areas of our life. So now we need to adopt those principles and implement them in the areas that we need to build. So we
Yeah.
have it, right?
Oh, yeah. That's great. So you've mentioned these, and we're just going to get a little bit more specific, where you
Mhm.
mentioned some things that you dealt with, and you mentioned the importance of dealing with the darker times or those emotions. So tell
Mhm.
us a bit more about how you specifically overcame an emotional pain of yours.
Wow. When you talk about a question like that, I think sometimes we don't really get over some of the emotional pain. I think one of my biggest emotional pain was the experience of my grandmother. I think it was 2013, January 2nd. My grandmother, aunt, and cousin died from a car crash. They went on vacation and they all died from a car crash. And I think that was the worst emotional pain that I've ever experienced. And I think one of the things that helped me to get through that was by recognizing that there was people around me to support me, recognizing that I could call people. There was time when I felt like I was suffocating and I couldn't breathe because the pain was so intense. And all I could do was just call somebody, and just say, pray for me because I don't think I'm going to make it. And even talking to you, I'm getting teary-eyed about it. Right? And it's just being in a place where we have to recognize that we're not alone, right? And there's people in our circle, there's people around us who's able to help us through those pain, whatever those pains are, right? And we need to learn to utilize them and not suffer in silence, right? And some pain we might get over and some pain we won't, but guess what? It get easier. Because for me, it's been 7 years. It doesn't go away, but it get easier. And knowing that I have tools that I can use and I have people that I could lean on. So we need to learn to do that when we're going through whatever pain, emotional pain that we encounter in our lives.
Perfect. There's such power in connection with others, right?
Hmm.
I think that's great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks
Oh
for
yeah,
having me.
you've shared some awesome nuggets of wisdom with all of us. There's a lot to take away from this, and I hope we do that. Take some notes and apply that kind of stuff. Nakeisha, before we end, how can people connect with you?
Okay, so I am all social media platform. You could connect with me on NakeishaGeddes.com, Nakeisha Geddes on Facebook. My Facebook page is also Nakeisha_Geddes. I do have a woman Facebook group called Embrace Your Inner Boss. And you could also connect with me on Instagram. I am Nakeisha Geddes, and on LinkedIn, Nakeisha Geddes, and on Twitter, Nakeisha Geddes. And my website is www.nakeishageddes.com.
Very good. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
I appreciate you. Bye.
See ya.